Once again, I'm going to recommend that you save your model, and once it is saved, I'm going to Control-3, Tools, hop up to the Text tool, and we'll start making our text. Now, once the Text tool is active, I can go down here and select the text from the text area, delete it, and all caps I'm going to type a CMYK public service brought to you by Magenta : and make sure that my font, Control-3, Tools, go back, make sure my font is set to Arial Black, and then just go ahead and click in the viewport. That's going to create some text for us. I just realized that I just did that within our other mesh, and so we're going to want to put that in a new mesh. We can do that. Spacebar, select the text, Control-X to cut it out, N on the keyboard for new mesh. That'll give us a blank mesh, and Control-V to paste. Just that easy to fix. Take this text object. It's all one big object. And actually, I'm going to go Control space to go back to the perspective view and hit the Control-3, Tools, Thicken, and click in the viewport. And if we do this right, we should be able to drag a handle and drag that text right out so that now we have some three-dimensionality to our text. Spacebar to drop it. Now, rather than unselecting those back faces, I actually want the text selected. I'm going to hit the right bracket key on the keyboard to expand the selection to all polygons. Sorry, I messed that up. Let me do that again. Select all these with the middle mouse button. Control space, front view, R key on the keyboard. Scale this down, W key to move. Zoom right in. That should be about small enough, and I actually am going to use the middle mouse button to select this stuff, move it down underneath, and one more time, middle mouse button, select the word magenta, and move that down underneath, scale it on up until it is basically the same width as the CMYK public service, actually a little bit wider. Move it down, zoom in. I also want to take this CMYK public service and scale up the word CMYK so that you can't miss it in the design. I can double click the letter A to select all the polygons attached to it, move it over, and make sure that we select this whole thing and nudge it into place right above the word magenta. Then I will select this brought to you by with the middle mouse button, R key to scale it up, and just to move it right into place. Good enough. Select all this stuff and move it up a little bit, and scale it down a little bit. Let's go back to perspective view, and I think this is too thick, these letters, so I'm going to actually make them thinner as well. Move them into place. Something like that. Okay? Now we'll do one more set of text just to review. I'm going to Control-3, Tools, click the text box, select the text that we typed before, delete it out, and we'll say Instrument of Love. Click in the viewport, spacebar, select it, go to perspective view, Control-3, Tools, Thicken, click in the viewport, and drag this blue handle back a little bit. Right bracket to expand my selection. Back to the front view, R key, scale it down. Actually, I want to hold the Control key and scale with one of the handles instead of this. I want to scale in 3 dimensions, not 2. And scale that up until it is the same width as the others. Get that word love nice and big. Now with our text in place, we can start composing the shot. I'll go to now that we're done with our modeling, I'm going to hit the Save command, go to Render tab. Now we can start working with our render. Now to move our render around, the first thing I'll do is I can work in this right viewport up here and move our view around. I can also do it from directly within the preview viewport though. So if you're on a fast computer, you can use the preview viewport directly. But I prefer to do it right over here in the viewport to the right of it. I'll go up to the Render tab here, set my frame width to 1200 by 720, let's say. Zoom out just a little bit and just compose the shot. I want to make sure I'm getting a little bit of these splatters at the top and the bottom, as well as most of the text, and that our heart is nicely situated, in the sort of the bottom right third of our composition. Now, with the render node selected in the shader tree tab, I'm going to go down to global illumination down here and click enable to turn on GI. I will then right click the environment and duplicate it. I'll select the top environment that I created and deselect indirect reflection and refraction. So this environment will only be visible to the camera. I'll expand that, select the environment itself, go down where it says environment type, change it to constant, click on the color. That will give me a nice color picker. I can choose white and click OK. So now we have a white background, but the blue environment is still affecting the colors of our objects. I'm going to put my mouse over the preview viewport and hit the 0 key on the numpad so we can get a better look at what we're doing. I can still move around my view to adjust it just the way that we want. And now that our shot is composed, we can go ahead and start adding materials to things. So back to here, I'm going to put my mouse over the preview, or the camera viewport here, 0 key to expand it, and then just start selecting items. I'm going to hit the M key on the keyboard and call that Y, because that's going to be yellow. Hit Enter. Select this item, M key on the keyboard, type M and hit Enter, because that's going to be magenta. And then select the text, M key on the keyboard, and hit C on the keyboard, because that's going to be mostly cyan. But with the text selected, we're going to also go to polygon selection mode, select the letter M, hit the right bracket to select the whole letter, M on the keyboard, M, Enter. So that way we assigned the M to be magenta. Expand the selection on the Y, hit M, Y, and then one more on the K, expand the selection, M and K. Lastly, I also want the word love to be magenta, so I'm going to click and drag across the letters and the period at the end, expand the selection, M and M for magenta. Hit Enter. Now we have created a whole bunch of materials over here that we can set up. So I will hit 0 on the numpad, 0 on the numpad to expand the selection, the preview window. I'm going to go to the M here because magenta is the most important color, and start adjusting the properties for that material. I'll set the diffuse amount to 100%, set the diffuse color to a nice reddish magenta, something like that. Looks pretty good, right? I'm going to set the reflection amount to 15, the Fresnel to 90, and set the reflection color also to a nice red magenta. Can be a slightly different color. It's okay. And that should give us a pretty good color to start with. Now, I don't want to start from scratch on these other materials, so I'm going to right-click on that M and say Duplicate, and just drag that material right up into the C area. Duplicate again, drag it right up into the K, and duplicate it one more time, and drag it into the Y area. And then all I have to do is for each of these, I'll just change the two colors for diffuse color and reflection color, respectively, to set up each of my primary colors. Looks good. That is pretty much it. We're getting really close.